Oh, is that how it happened?
Oh, yeah.
What was that? That didn't sound good.
No, one of them buttons popped off that leg.
There's a collection of them back there. They keep popping off.
That's
It's just the little plastic buttons that cover the.
Yeah.
They cover the screws and the.
No, look at your.
Oh, no,
look at this side.
I'm killing it. I'm about to fall.
Oh my gosh.
Just gotta smash it back together. We need more funding for the podcast.
Welcome to the Narrowgate Podcast. I'm Weston,
And I'm Logan.
and this is the Jay Cavette episode.
Jay Cavette.
Jay Cavette is a graduate from 2014. Yeah, and he's got an incredible testimony, and he takes us through that story. And I was inspired.
Dude, I love this guy. And this is probably one of, if not the most transparent conversations that we've had on this podcast. It is so beautiful to see how God has redeemed a life and how he's using that, how he's taking what the enemy meant for evil and he's using it for his good. Like that's Jay Cavette. So settle in, listen up. As always, if you want to hear more about Narrowgate, you can check out our show notes, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Well, Jay, we start off every episode by asking two questions. These two questions are going to be familiar to you, but answer them however you want to answer them. It can be as out there as you want to be, or as it can be as practical as you. It's your preference. So you just see if you can remember these familiar questions. Who are you, and why are you here?
Who am I? I am. I'm redeemed. I am a man of unity. And one of the biggest things that I left with is that I'm a man of hope. And then it's for me to go out and spread that hope and be that light to those around me. And then why am I here? I think I also just answered that in the sense of, to go spread that hope of Jesus. What I love to tell students and stuff that I see now is just do your best to be the light to those around you, because we're all living in this broken world, and a lot of things that are gravitating us towards going outside of what God's called us to be. So it's like, be different and do your best to be the light and not just to be accustomed to what the world says. So, yeah.
That's good, man.
Good.
I'm so glad you're here. Like I don't know,
likewise.
it's been a long time since I've seen you, man. It's so good.
Yeah.
For everybody, I guess before the cameras really got rolling, we'll just share. Like we've just been kind of cutting it up and laughing and reminiscing. I had the pleasure of being on staff when Jay was a student here.
Yeah.
And man, you've just always been a blessing to me.
Yeah,
and
likewise.
Goodness, my wife and I were like dating at the time.
Yeah.
And like she was around, and like, I know I'm gonna reminisce just a little bit more.
Come on.
We'll get into some more meat. He was leading us to such a good place.
Come on.
Do you remember that like weird game that we did for Halloween that one year? It somehow involved
we did a bunch
like,
of crazy stuff here.
we did like a costume contest. The students did like a costume contest, but they had to make the costumes out of just like basic office supplies.
Yeah, that's
and then
great.
like
That's
we
hilarious.
filmed the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think about that because I still got that video on my phone.
Oh, I gotta
of like
see
you
that
and me
one.
like doing commentary on
Yeah.
like other people's costumes and stuff. I don't know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Random things that you get down to here in the lodge
Yeah.
when you're trying to entertain
Yeah.
each other.
What was Logan like as a staff member?
Oh, that's a great
Man, dude, honestly, just in the short time of getting to hang out with you before we jumped on here, man, you honestly, in a great way, saying you are the same. Very open, life-giving, just easy to be around. Yeah, man, you helped me back then 4 times like today where I could appreciate worship. Because before I really struggled with it, along with a bunch of things, but I was just like, man, this whole singing to Jesus that I can't physically touch. And it was just mad weird for me. Like, we just got done talking about like Kobe and MJ comparisons, and now I got so-and-so over here on his knees and you with the guitar and yelling at the top of your lungs. And you kind of just let me know that it's okay to let go and spend that intimate time with God, and that I don't have to cover up. Like, I can just kind of be authentically myself and feel in this time with Jesus. So,
Wow, that's a big,
Yeah,
that's a big takeaway.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for saying that. That blesses me. But I'll just tell you, because you weren't you don't know Jay very well, but like I was thinking when you texted me this morning and I figured out we were doing this today, I was just been thinking about you today, and like my take of you as a student, you had a hunger about you, and yeah, Jay seemed like a guy perfectly primed kind of for this environment, for what God can do through somebody who shows up. Cause you were real, like even with the problems that you had, even with the questions that you had. And that was just my take of you. Like, dude, this is a guy who's hungry for knowing God more, for knowing himself more.
yeah.
And again, I mean, even just the staff student relationship, that was such a blessing to be around.
Yeah, it was.
But again, thank you for your kind words.
Yeah,
man.
most definitely,
That
brother.
means a lot.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this is totally sidetracked, but I was just thinking when I was a student, I'd heard your name, Logan, like a few times, Logan Pringle. But for some reason, I think I'd seen like a pamphlet or like a Narragate like brochure or something, like somebody was holding a sword or something. And I don't know who it is still. You guys would probably know, but I attached your name to his face.
I think it was my brother. I
Yeah,
think I know the
that's
picture you're
because
talking about.
it's his brother.
Yeah.
Josh.
Is
it?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I
hilarious.
thought you
I
were.
have a copy of that in my office, apparently, because somebody had it at
Holding the
Grace
sword?
Chapel, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to throw away this Narrowgate picture. You want it?" I'm
Yeah.
like, that's my brother.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
So
That's
I remember
hilarious.
like thinking that was you, right?
Yeah.
To the name, attached to the name. But then at the 10th anniversary, when you got up on stage and played, then Bill was like, that's Logan Pringle. And I'm like, that's Logan? That's not at all what I thought he looked like. He looks way different than I thought. But I remember thinking that was like, when you got up there and saying, I was like, dang, man, he's got some pipes.
My brain's slowly clicking, like remembering that all the 10th anniversary shindig. But you were around as a student, like for that.
Yeah.
Man,
Didn't you come to that event like dressed like really nice?
Yeah, I shouldn't have.
No, dude, you looked awesome. I was like, dang, this is just sharp.
Totally forgot where I was at.
No, man, we need a little style.
Yeah,
at
for sure.
Narrowgate.
For sure.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great time.
Yeah.
I remember I don't know if that's the title of the song, but during the time we're yelling freedom,
dude, that's
it's like, I got free. And I'm like, bro, this,
I am now vividly remembering before we even did the recording,
yeah.
sitting in that room with you guys, and there was something about us singing that song and the way I mean, this is all fresh. This is straight off the dome right now. I'm just like, how much it encouraged me when you're like how you leaned into it.
Yeah.
And like sometimes you'd ask for it, like, hey, can we do this?
Yeah.
Like, man, that's I haven't thought about that in such a long time. That is just a really life-giving memory to me right now.
Yeah, most definitely, brother.
Wow.
Because I mean, honestly, that's what I got when I came here. I got free. So
What did you get free from?
man.
Yeah, and you can dip as far back in your story as you want. But let us know a little bit about Jay pre-Narragate.
Yeah. Born in a small little town in West Tennessee called Paris. Was raised by my grandmother, my dad's mom. Dad got incarcerated shortly after I was born. Went without him for an extended period of time. My mom went ghost right after that, so that's why I was left with my grandmother, who at that point in time was my mom and dad. And what I love about this place is because outside of like my relationship with her, like this was like the most free time, like feeling getting back to being comfortable in my skin that I had ever felt. And I hadn't felt that in a long time since being with her as a kid. Now, granted, I definitely went through some things there. Yeah, I'm just going to be about as transparent, as honest as I can be.
Yeah.
So not obviously, but I was sexually molested under her care, which she doesn't know. And I mean, she knows now as she's gone on to be in heaven. But from kindergarten to third grade, was sexually molested. And that was tough on me, realizing that at a young age, by the same person sexually molesting me also exposed me to pornography. And now I'm looking at pornography at this young of an age as if it's like cartoons. It's like natural to just sit up, just gaze at it and thinking that this is what it's supposed to be. So now I'm like this young and confused because why is it bothering me here when, she grabs my hand and takes me to this back room while grandma's asleep. But then you show it to me on TV and it's like love and this and that. And I'm like, so I'm just mad confused. So grew up with that kind of stuff. And then, one day my dad came on my grandma's porch one day and was like, hey, I'd love for you to come live with me. And I was like, bro, who the heck are you? Because like, where the heck you been? Granted, I knew that he was incarcerated. But,
how long had he been gone?
I mean, probably around the time I was like 2 or 3, maybe. And then I really hadn't seen him since I'm in the third grade at this point, like second half of third grade.
Sure. That's handful of years.
Yeah. But man, that was like the prime time of like less is more, because like it was just me and my grandma. And even during that time of being sexually molested, like, man, it was just like once that's over with, it was like I'm with grandma and like she's everything. She's my rock. She, looking at her back then, I understand it now, because when I was a little kid, I used to just look at her and I'm like, something's wrong with you, because she would always pick up this one book and just always be reading it and like had that thing tattooed up. And I'm like, now I'm like, oh, that's the Bible. Wow. And then other times when she was sitting in the same room with me as we are, just talking out loud. And I'm like, you were praying back then. So that makes sense to me now. And this is a woman who had like 14 kids.
14 kids?
14. Yeah. Weird times. And then my grandfather also was shot and killed in front of the family when I think like maybe the oldest one was like maybe 13, 14 from what I've been told. So yeah, she had to carry all that on her own. Never went to college, never learned how to drive, just was a hardworking woman and whatever she put her hands on. And then to look back now and think, man, she took me on as well, and would walk. Sometimes I would walk with her, which sometimes I loved it, sometimes I hated it, but we would walk like 2 miles one way just to go to the Exxon and go grocery shop. Like, I didn't really know too much of like what Walmart was. And like, if you ever go to Henry, Tennessee, it's like, maybe they have like another stoplight there now.
Yeah.
But like, it was that kind of town. Like, people grocery shopped at the Exxon.
Sure.
And we just walk around the whole city just doing what we needed to do. But I still look back to this day and I think about like the times of going to the Hill. And I was like, man, this freaking big old sack and all this food in this trash bag. And then before I'd even said yes to Jesus, man, God was already placing a picture for me, because I feel like I'm very visual, like when it comes to our relationship. And it was like this picture of my grandmother going ahead of me up this path to the hill. And that's what gave me the spirit of perseverance. And so that didn't make the ginormous Gatorade cooler that heavy anymore. Fast forward, moved with my dad to Jackson, Tennessee. And then shortly after that time period, probably around fourth grade, he kind of started showing me what I had grown accustomed to, which was very abusive. And it's pretty crazy because I never seen my dad drink. I mean, he would smoke cigarettes, but he never did drugs. But he was just always so angry. And if he wasn't angry, then he wasn't there. So there would be times of, me being at home by myself, 2-3 days out of the week, like consistently, because I used to do this thing where I would leave the house a mess on Monday and then get myself together, jump on the bus, go to school, come back, house still a mess. So being a kid, I'm like, oh, I'll just leave this place looking crappy on Tuesday. Go to school, come back, it's still crappy. Wednesday, same thing. And then Thursday comes and you walk in the house and it's cleaned up, but it's a voicemail talking about you got one coming when I get home, how you leave the house a mess. And I'm sitting here like mad conflicted because I'm like, dang, I'm about to get like the crap beat out of me, but I'm also where the heck you been? And then eventually it came to a point in time where he abused me pretty bad. Teachers saw that. And I still remember to this day, before getting sent to foster care for a little bit, was his back is about as purple as his Randy Moss Minnesota Vikings jersey. So we're not going to send him home today. And all that came about was because I had like my first C as like I don't know, at this time I'm fourth grade, like second half of my fourth grade. So that's how strict my dad was. And yeah, so I entered into that, went back and forth between his place and then going to this different home, which wasn't cool. And then eventually, probably around going into sixth grade, I was like, yeah, I'd rather just be quiet about what's going on at home. And then, honestly, I got accustomed to it. I was like, this stuff don't even really hurt anymore. You know what I'm saying? But what does hurt is me getting stripped of the opportunity to go see my grandmother if he happens to just want to like dump me off on her. So I was like, I can't do that if I get sent to another group home. So I'm like, let me just wear some hoodies. Let me make sure to make some ice packs at night or whatever, and just stay out of his way. Fast forward, we moved to Franklin, and then nothing had changed, but I'm in high school at this point. And eventually I get kicked out. But I had a family that took me in from the basketball team. And so I stayed with them going into like the summer before my summer before my senior year, and then on. At that point in time, there's really nothing you could tell me. Like, I'm my own man. I've been cooking my own dinner, putting my own clothes on my back, getting myself to and from the projects to school. And so you trying to tell me about curfew?
Yeah.
Like, you trying to tell me about when I can leave the house, when I got to do, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
So would you say like during that kind of like early childhood to that point, you just talked about being in high school, were you just developed, like, was that kind of like where you lived mentally of like, I got this self-sufficiency?
Yeah.
Like,
It was,
I'm
it
my
was
own man kind
very
of thing?
much so my back up against the wall,
Yeah.
against the rest of the world. And, but it was so like contradicting to what I really wanted, because I really wanted to be seen and to be loved and to be included. So I was acting out in a way of trying to get those things, but doing it in the wrong way. But yeah, man, I mean, that family asked me to, which I love them to this day. Like, if I ever talk about saying I have a brother, like, I'm talking about this family's son. And that's like my guy. But yeah, they asked me to leave on graduation day. And sure enough, I'm like, not knowing what I want to do with my life. And then I get ready to walk out to go, after throwing this cap and gown and all this and that stuff. And I'm like, while everybody else is getting excited to go party and get ready to go start this new chapter in a couple months, I'm about to go pack my bags. And at this point, the only person I had to go back to was my dad. And I just knew that was just going to be chaotic. But as I'm walking out, two black ladies stopped me in the tunnel at Lipscomb. And they're like, hey, you congratulations, you've come such a long way from Henry, Tennessee, and blah 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 blah. And then the ladies starting to snot bubble cry, I like to say, and then she just started saying stuff that just like started piecing some things together, and I was like, you my mom, ain't you? Mm. And she was like, yeah, I'm his mom. And I'm like, that's stupid.
That was your initial reaction, was just over it?
Well, it honestly just made me exhausted and like frustrated all at once.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, I'm 18, where you been?
Wow.
And I'm like, you knew good and well, like I was living with my grandma, and you were only like 25 minutes down the road in Paris. Like literally, like Paris and Henry are like Brentwood to Franklin. Mm-hmm. And all that time you never like came and saw me. But you like want me to remember you because like I'm a little kid, and like you said, you saw me at like McDonald's and you got me a Happy Meal, but never introduced yourself. And I'm just like, you know what I've been through? Like without you. So yeah, I just walked away, and I was like, man, what the heck? Moved back in with my dad, start going to Columbia State, which things were going good for the time being, but then my dad was kind of in his ways, so he kicked me out again. I ended up being homeless. So now I'm trying to manage going to Columbia State here in Franklin and find out where the heck is my next meal, or where am I going to lay my head at. And sometimes it was sleeping behind Franklin High School at the dog park, or sleeping on some ratty friend's couch, or
ratty friend or ratty couch?
Both.
Probably both.
Both, bro. Both, for sure. Sometimes it even got so extreme that if I knew like a friend was out of town, he probably will never listen to this, but he had this ratty car.
What's his name? We'll send it to him. Just kidding, don't say it.
Come up with a different name. Yeah, I'm gonna come up with a different name. But man, I would literally like, he had this like janky like back door, and I knew how to like pick it or whatever, and I would sleep in his back seat while he was gone, like if he was on a family vacation or something, just to have somewhere. Yeah. And then eventually, I was like, school is too much. Like I'm doing okay here, but like sitting up here taking bird baths in the bathroom, staying late in the library or whatever, just to like not be out in the world, was like weighing on me way too much. And then I ended up, getting around the wrong crowd of, smoking, drinking, just every day is a party type ordeal. And then eventually I ended up getting in some trouble. ended up, I don't know if y'all remember this story, but I ended up going to what I thought I was just going to go to like Williamson County Jail. So I'm like, oh, I'll probably see like half the white boys that I went to high school with, you know, there for DUIs or something. But no, I was there for like a couple of days, and then all of a sudden they sent me to Morgan County Correctional Facility. I went in shortly after I was 20, and I got out a week before my 21st birthday.
Wow.
So almost a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
And man, that was a really rough time in the beginning for sure, because after that like cell door closed on me, because the majority of my time in the beginning I was in solitary confinement, but the first time that door closed, I just cried because at that point in time, the only thing that I heard was, "You're just like your dad, and anything after this point is just going to be a replica of him." And that, I think that hurt me to the core more than anything.
Yeah.
When you say you heard that, you mean like in your head, like
Yeah.
that's what the enemy was telling you at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of jumping back and forth here, but like
Yeah.
earlier, you know, you were talking about being at Narragansett and experiencing freedom.
Yeah.
And I mean that hits differently under the context of like spending a year,
Yeah.
like physically locked up,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
And-
and a
and then-
lifetime physically suppressed.
and a
or-
lifetime of that.
Yeah.
I mean, of the voice of the enemy just speaking over you. You're just like your dad. You're just like
Yeah.
your dad.
Yeah. So yeah, it was tough, man. But I'm looking back on it now and like, man, God was so protecting, because I mean, I'm not like Derrick Henry or anything, so I'm sitting here like, man, I hope nobody like bothers me, and like I'm good at keeping to myself, so I'm like, let's just play that role and just get out of here. It was also some pretty interesting situation. If you wasn't like immediate family, like you couldn't see me. And sure enough, the one person I thought that would never come see me was my dad. And I don't know what the heck happened after I got out. Maybe he was like, oh, he free now, so go on about your life. But when that time that I was there, like he made it effort to come see me, and just never said much, except one of the things that really like rocked me was for the first time him saying, "I'm sorry." Because he was just like, man, I led you here.
Wow.
And just, man, saying like, I love you and I got you. And I'm just sitting here thinking to myself like, bro, why couldn't you say this or show this when I needed you at the 4th grade YMCA game, or when I'm sitting here making straight A's for you, but the only attention you showed me was when I started making D's and all this and that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, shoot, I'll take it right now because I ain't got nothing. And then, you know, time fast forward. And at this point, I'm just mad lost. I'm like, I might as well be what they perceive me to be. So, you know, I got into selling weed, just ripping and running the streets, not caring. There's Mama Shelly, shout out. She was like the closest thing to a mother I ever had outside of my grandmother.
And this is the family that took you in high school, right?
No. This actually
my
isn't.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to
No, you good,
help
baby.
our listeners, but
You
he's
good.
got it. He's taking us in.
Yeah, for sure.
sorry.
You good, brother. No, I mean, there were times that I wish she would. But no, she knew me way back in the day, like 4th grade. when I was in Jackson, she was in Memphis because I have a bleeding disorder called hemophilia. So I have to take this like shot, almost like a diabetes type of looking shot, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And at that age, I wasn't comfortable giving myself the stick and no dad present. So we set it up to where she would be that nurse that would come and give me that shot, drop off my medicine, ask me all the questions of how's it doing, blah, 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 blah. And she kind of saw the home lifestyle of it just being like trash, for better words, and would just be there, like bring a meal with her, just be soothing and just peaceful. And then that was for only like maybe a year or so. And then we lost touch once I started going to foster care and all that stuff. And fast forward, we moved to Franklin, and I bump into her in Franklin as a sophomore in high school. And I'm like, we just happened to be at the store at the same time.
Wow.
I think I'm there to like buy like an Ace wrap because I got like basketball practice and this and that mess. And she's like in the aisle looking at whatever else. And we like, I forgot how we even like connected in conversation, but I brought up like hemophilia and this and that. And she's like, oh, I work with people who have hemophilia, blah, 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 blah. Cause I mean, I haven't seen you since like the 4th grade. So I'm like, I don't know who the heck you are. But then she was like, oh, what's your name? I was like, Jay Cavette. Cause I mean, once I moved to Franklin, so in Jackson, I went by Jamar. But once I moved to Franklin, I was like, yeah, I need like a new identity because I didn't made it.
So did she recognize you just from the
Well,
last name?
she called me by the Jackson name, Jamar, and I was like, whoa.
Wow. So in your head, that's already like,
Yeah.
it's like,
I was like,
she knows me.
yeah, I'm like, you know me from somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
So you didn't even recognize her.
not really, no.
Wow. But she knew your name.
Yeah. And shoot, man, we just picked up where we left off, and come to find out her and her family had moved from Memphis to Franklin. And I'm like, I live here too. And we just, it went on from there. And yeah, man, she has been like a saving grace for me because, well, shoot, she introduced me to Narrowgate. And I put it off for the longest because, and I think the only reason I never lived with her is because I knew myself back then that I was going to burn a bridge that I never wanted to burn. But man, she picked me up, take me to church, let me come over and spend a night every now and then. She was the one like writing me all the letters and stuff when I was locked up. She was the one who picked me up and brought me back here. Yeah, and then she told me about Narrowgate after I was basically just done. Like, I got tired of going out on my own strength. My only thought of God back then, of like being able to get a relationship with him, was that it was almost like you get born in this world and your mom and dad believe in them and then you just get raised up in it. Or in my circumstances, it's like Hunger Games and it's like ready, set, go. And like you just take off running and the enemy's either going to snipe you down or you're going to make it to have that relationship with Jesus. And at that point in time in my life, I was like, man, I'm so sniped down. Like, no mom in the picture, no dad. And I think that was probably one of the harder things than the mom, because I was used to not having a mom.
Yeah.
But having a dad who spoke not life, I mean, more so death, not being present and never saying I love you, just never being good enough. So when Shelly was telling me about this place, I was like, have you seen my life? Like, I don't think, I couldn't separate my dad, my earthly father, and my heavenly father at that point in time. But like I said, I threw my hands up and I let go and I tried to give God a chance. So I came out here. Well, first off, I had to get introduced to Eric Boots Davis for an interview. Man, shout out. Dude, he makes the story sound so much more funnier. But he pulled up to my cul-de-sac where I was living at the time, and like not the nicest area of Franklin, which I know anybody who knows Franklin, that's very surprising that there is a rough area around.
Yeah.
But man, I remember Boots pulled up and I looked out the window.
I've heard this story.
I looked.
Have you? Okay.
I flipped that like little blind down. I was like, "Who is this redhead white dude?" I was like,
Did
"Man."
you say red and white? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm like this. I'm not about to get in the car with this ginger. It's the last time. Like last time this happened, I got sent to prison. So I was like, so he like called me twice, and I was like, man, forget it. I'll go outside. And then jumped in the car and we went and had a talk and he heard my story and he was like, man, you sound like the perfect candidate to come. And then a couple of days later, he picked me up and he drove me out here to a graduation, which happened to be Tyler Craft's graduation. And that was a pretty heavy day.
Golly, I bet that was heavy.
Yeah.
With the Father's blessing and vision and purpose and just calling out the manhood of these guys.
Yeah. And
pretty impactful.
Dude, it's like, I don't know if y'all can speak to this, but like once you hit like that, like turn in here, it just felt like a snow globe for me. Like obviously before you get here, I'm like, yo, where the heck you taking me? Because I'm like, you got little kids in little diapers running across the street, grabbing chickens and everything up under the sun. And
when me and Colin were students, it was the two old guys smoking their popcorn pipes right there on that turn.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that was it was Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie. Yeah, Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, you got a vibe out here.
And I was like, this looks like some CNN, like black guy in the basement getting smacked with the Bible. And I was like, okay. And I got out here and like I said, man, we turned in the driveway and I was like, man, there's something about this place. And then just getting to sit in that graduation and hear that blessing and all the things, I was just like, man, Jay, what do you have to lose? Because you ain't got nothing right now.
That's the sweet spot.
I was about to say the same thing. Sweet
Yeah,
spot.
man. So I said, yeah. And I came. And it turned out to be like honestly the best decision I ever have made with my life outside of saying yes to Jesus.
Wow.
Because I remember like praying before I even like knew him. I remember that first time on the hill, as my man CJ is complaining the whole time because we're got this like whack tent and camp food, and you guys are just like, all right, see ya on the hill, and I was
That's my favorite.
and I was like,
what?
I wasn't even like bothered by it because I was like, dude, I'm used to being homeless. Like,
Wow.
shoot, at least I know I can make some food.
Yeah.
And worst thing is I gotta hear you complain about us up here. But I just remember looking up and I was like, man, God, I'll let go, but man, I'm really hoping that you show me something while I'm here. And I don't want to be the same person when I leave. So, and man, he did that in multiple ways. In the beginning, obviously, it's always a struggle. But I remember we were having worship one night, and I was like mad fed up because I wasn't like I was rushing the process once again. Like I wanted the instant gratification, and I wanted to hurry up and be saved and like be so close to God and this and that stuff. But I just wasn't getting it. I was missing it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I remember Casey Burke at the time was an intern, or maybe he was on staff at the time. I'm not sure.
Casey Burke.
I was like, bro, I'm ready to bounce. And I'll just go back to what I know. Cause I just like, why am I not on my knees right now? Like singing this, I don't even know what the heck we were singing, like some Bethel or
Don't look at me.
something like that. I don't know. But I was like, man.
We used to just make it up on the spot.
Yeah. And I was just like, dude, this dude I just got done talking to about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, having this awesome conversation. Now he's over here like crying and like thanking you, Jesus. And I'm like, what the heck is this?
You talking about Casey?
No.
Oh, sorry. I thought you.
At this point in time, I don't remember who that was. I think it was like Blaine King or whatever. Yeah. I was like, this is weird, but I want this. But I feel like you're not giving it to me now. So maybe it's something on me that you don't want to deal with. So I'm ready to storm off. And Casey had that talk of just like, man, you just got to be patient. Like you just got here. And God, he wants a relationship with you. You just have to be patient enough to let that relationship form and learn how to hear his voice and all the things. And I'm like, all right, bro, like whatever. Like, and this is a Saturday. And then the next day, we used to do this thing. I don't know if they do it anymore, but we would go on Sundays afternoons sometimes to this young adults type ministry called Iris or something like that. It was at like off of Old Hickory. I can't remember
It
the
was
church.
at Christ Church.
Yeah.
I don't think they go anymore though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do not.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Confirmation.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
If one person would know, I hope Weston knows what the students do on Sunday nights.
Yeah, man. We went to that, and man, I kid you not, this random dude like flags me down in the lobby before we walk out the door, and he was just like, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you that I believe that like God wants me to tell you that He believes in y'all's relationship to come, and that He's like this with wide open arms, and that He wants nothing more than to just embrace you." And like let you know that you're worthy and that He loves you, son. And I was like, bro, what?
Yeah, because you're already irritable.
Yeah.
And wanting to leave.
Yeah. And I'm like, this must be one of them Narrowgate tactics. They just,
Yeah, he's a
Schemers.
plant.
They-
He's
they-
a plant.
yeah, because how is it that I just had this conversation with Casey last night, and now this random dude, I'm like, where you from?
Wow.
He's like, oh, I just moved here from
do you work
Cali.
for?
Yeah, I'm like, I just moved here from Cali 2 weeks ago. And like my girlfriend told me about this place and this and that stuff. I remember his name, Jonathan Farrow. Like, I'll never forget that dude. I don't know where he is in the world, but I'll never forget him
What if he was
speaking.
an angel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, isn't there a scripture that says that you can entertain angels and not even be aware of it?
Yeah.
So
I'm
God-
not going to speculate.
that's in the Bible.
I know.
Chill out.
I'm just saying, you know.
But yeah, dude.
Make you wonder.
It's a fun thought.
Yeah. But man, after that
Shame me for
point,
Sorry, I'm just giggling. I can't help it.
wow, bro. Man, after that point, man, it was like a snowball effect. Because I remember going back to the van. I was like, man, Casey, y'all pulling stunts on me? And he's like, nah, I don't know who that dude is. And I remember like Casey was for real because he was like, and like hitting his head on the steering wheel. It's like, I can't believe you, God, thank you. And
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
seems uncommon, you know.
Yeah,
You
right.
got it, but the steering
No,
wheel.
Casey would get
Oh.
genuinely excited about the
Oh,
things of God.
That
Yeah.
sounds like
Yes.
That sounds
To the
so
T.
much like
To
Casey,
the
dude.
T. bro.
Rage out
Yeah.
in Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like,
That's great.
Yeah, man.
Like,
We just witnessed an angel.
Wait, that's Casey.
Yeah.
What, dude?
yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, it was a snowball effect after that point because I was just like, maybe you is trying to say something because I can't remember who. It was Casey, excuse me.
Yeah.
It was Casey that told me that, like, man, God will speak to you in numerous different ways. It'll be through scripture, it'll be through prayer, and it'll be through other people. And I was like, I talked to Casey last night about that. And then this guy's coming. I was like, okay, God.
Yeah.
So I just continuously started letting the wall down. And then, yeah, Easter Sunday came that year at Grace at sunrise service. And I remember sitting there in that lawn chair and, Pastor Steve at the time had made that announcement of like, if anybody wants to come down and say yes to Jesus and start that relationship with him. And, obviously first it's like bow your head and raise your hand. And I was like, I'm cool with that. And then, sure enough, what I didn't know was the thing was like, come down front. And I was like,
He got you.
Gosh, this must have been a weird reaction I had. And man, like I said, like I see like pictures. So I'm sitting here like God and like on one side, like saying like, come with me and walk down and I got you. And then there's another voice there of the enemy, just like, dude, you just doing this for show. You want some eyes on you and blah, 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 blah. You want to be a part of the moment. Like, you don't really want this. And because everybody's eyes were closed for the most part, besides those that were walking down, man, I was doing like this like up down thing in my seat. Like, should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it? Should I not? The enemy almost won, man, because I sat down and I had gotten comfortable in that decision. But sure enough, I put my head down and Bill said that he just felt like to raise his head up and see. And he whispered in my ear and it was like, I'll walk down with you.
Wow.
And I was like, thank you, because I wasn't about to do that if like you didn't give me your hand to walk down with. And so I walked down there and said yes to Jesus. And I remember still to this day, I went to bed that night there in the lodge, not the lodge, the barn. And I remember I was one of the last people to go to sleep because I'm on this high right now. And I remember brushing my teeth and then I flicked the light and I walked to bed. And then I don't know why, it still doesn't make sense to me to this day, but instead of just like walking straight, I like backpedaled. Like I'm like some like VCR or something, like rewinding or whatever. And I walk backwards, weirdest thing ever. And then I flick on the light and I look at myself and I said, dude, you're not the same dude who walked in here. And it felt so much of a switch as if like, just as much as that light switch right then, on and off. I was like, bro, you are no longer hopeless, my boy. You got hope. And though your circumstances may not be any different, your outlook on how you see those circumstances couldn't be any more different.
Wow.
And you no longer, like the chain was broken of thinking that God, my heavenly Father, is like my earthly father. Like this dude actually want me, and he actually died for me. And if nothing else, that's enough.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I was like, let's get it. So
Never the same.
never, bro.
And that's, I
yeah.
mean, that's the thing is like he doesn't just come and fix our messed up life. He gives us new life.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And then redeems the messes
Well,
in the past.
and that's what I was wondering if we could get into a little bit because like
Yeah.
we know and we've caught up a little bit before this and like we know what you're up to now.
Yeah.
And I just want to first off thank you for your transparency.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you asked me a question, Wes, and I like totally went off.
No, dude, that's
Yeah.
I mean that's
I don't remember what it was. So
Yeah. Right.
it was probably awesum.
bro, and
Yeah, most
you shared all of yourself. And like
Yeah.
for that we seriously thank you because you knowing what you do now.
Yeah.
And knowing that you're walking in what God has spoken over you, I'm wondering if you just naturally live in that place of like, man, God is redeeming this stuff from my past. He's using this stuff from my past so that I get to bless, you kids in the next generation. Like, just tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and how God's using all that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, right now I am working at a inner city nonprofit called Dream Streets. I am the student director there. So basically it's me going into, metro schools in West and North Nashville and helping them out with resources that they may need by going out in the community and filling that void, mentorship, for some of my older kids, discipleship, exploring to them that like I come from where you come from and there is still hope. So I'm trying to feed hope as much as possible to this next generation. And then I am like just mad blessed now of my story and how God has like seen me through all this stuff to give me the equity, I guess, with these kids that come from the same place as I do. Not to say that like if you didn't come from that it wouldn't still be impactful because God can use you however, but I think there was just something about all the stuff that I went through that was able to relate to these kids and leaving a door open there for me to talk to them about Jesus when like they are coming from places where he couldn't seem any further.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Don't tempt yourself to make that seem small because you've already shared from your story that the lie that was growing in you as you went what you went through, which was terrible, but you were developing this self-reliance, right?
Yeah.
And still craving, like inwardly craving that love and that acceptance and that consistency, and yet the lie is to make yourself okay with it all. And so say you got kids in that exact same situation or similar,
Yeah.
You are able to reach in and connect with that person more than somebody outside of their situation can. I mean, that's just kind of obvious, right? But like, I encourage you, don't make that small.
Yeah. It's not just the people that you get to influence who have similar stories. It's not just the kids who are in the place that you were at. It's also like you, man, like you, when you look back on your life, and I think everybody has this to some degree, everyone who's been, redeemed, who's been saved by grace is able to look back on their past and all the dark times and all the hard times and all the unfair times and the tragedy and the trauma and the mess. And somehow you're able to look at that with gratitude and with appreciation because it's almost like impossible to explain to somebody who hasn't experienced it.
Yeah.
But to be able to look at something like that and say, God, thank you for that. Because without those circumstances, I might not have met you.
Yeah.
I might not be where I am today.
Yeah.
And I very much like where I am today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you don't like look back on it like fondly, like, oh, I loved that. That was fun, but it's like God doesn't waste anything, you know, like he redeems those moments in your life in a way that you could have never expected. And it makes them like worth it.
Yeah, man. So yeah, man, that's what I'm usually up to nowadays. If I'm not there at Dream Streets, working and getting to be there with those students, or just the community in general, because we do more than just like with my section. Like we have a food ministry, we have a housing program, job readiness for men coming out of incarceration, about to pick up on a transitional housing program. So yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff there. And then even when I'm not working, I'll volunteer my time on Wednesday nights at another place called Teen Dream Center, and just getting to it not be my job, to just mentor there and just be amongst that community as well. So yeah, man, that's basically what I'm up to outside of just being at home with my lovely wife. Yeah.
I feel like there was going to be another word.
Oh yeah, I was going to say like how wild she is. Like we couldn't be like more opposite. Like I'm definitely on like the introvert side of things, and she's just like she could strike up a conversation with a wall.
Yeah.
And like it'd be like the most like awesome one ever. It's like, you know, if you walk, well, I don't have kids, but I see it in commercials. You know, you walk by the room and like your little one's like just striking up a whole scenario, scene, conversation amongst themselves in like their playroom. Well, that's like it with my wife. And
Yeah, there's people out there that would talk to a rocking chair if it would just nod back at them.
yeah,
you know?
most definitely. But she's awesome, and
That's great, man.
God has been pretty faithful in that as well. Because that, as you guys know, marriage is not easy, but it is definitely very rewarding, and I've been very blessed with who He has given me, and it has been extremely difficult on my part, and feels as if God is kindly reminding me of a lot of things that He taught me here, of like, you know, you're enough. Like, because I'm in this place now where I'm trying to be like the best husband, like, because I never saw like a husband before.
Yeah.
Like I trying to be like a great leader in this household, and you know, thinking about us trying to start a family, like being a father. I mean, I've been married for over 2 years. I've known Jacqueline since 2016. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was open with her about saying like, I struggle with holding your hand at times because it takes me back to that little kid who got led off into that room that got sexually molested.
Wow.
So now I don't know how, but like God like helped me with that.
Yeah.
And showed me that picture of like, say that to your wife.
Yeah.
Now granted, I'm not like the best at it still. Cause like maybe I'm just like, I'm not like the biggest like physical touch person.
Sure.
Now maybe that still has something to do with it, but now I'm just like, it feels different.
But it's really inspiring, even just to point out that like God is still molding you and forming you and even healing this part of your past. And you're really quick to be like, it's God. He is the ever-present help in my time of need. Yeah. And my time of need may pop up just in this random time where I'm holding hands with my wife, and all of a sudden God's like, say this. Yeah. Like give this part of your heart to your wife. Yeah. But again, it's really inspiring that you're transparent to that level to share that with us.
For sure.
And then also give glory to God in that. It's not you figuring out, I got this thing I got to work out. It's God, you are aware of God's presence leading you deeper into relationship with Him and with your wife. And I just think that's really awesome.
I'm honestly hesitant to listen to anyone who is sort of unwilling or apprehensive about sharing things that they struggle with. Yeah. You know, like Christians that don't struggle with something, that's not real. Yeah. You know what I mean? Most definitely. It's not real. So I think that it's cool that you're not like dwelling on your struggles and like, trying to call attention to yourself. You're actually drawing attention to the Lord. And like, no, I've always had struggles, and the Lord has always brought me through because that's who He is. He's faithful, you know? And I think that in any of our conversations or things that we talk about, pointing things back to Him is the goal. Right? That's the right outcome.
Yeah, man. So God, He's good, man. And I've been very appreciative of how He makes me so aware of like those around me.
Yeah.
And shows me what I'm going through, if that makes any sense. Like,
Yeah.
because I think sometimes even believers, we can be blind to like our stuff, and we just can throw some Jesus glitter over it. But
Jesus glitter, man.
Yeah.
Give me some of that.
yeah, right. Just to act like there's nothing wrong, but he consistently like shows me how I need to say like enough is enough. Like, don't let the enemy have like a foot in the door on this.
Yeah.
Like, now I will say, Jesus and some counseling has helped your boy go a long way. But then and it's helped me go a long way, and just like honestly took some pressure off myself that I struggled with when I left Narrowgate.
Yeah.
Was that I thought like, oh my gosh, I'm about to go save the hood. Like,
Yeah.
We all get out with that
Oh, for
fresh,
sure.
like, I'm gonna do. It's
Yeah.
like we spend like 9 months talking
Yeah.
about I just gotta be.
Yeah.
And then we get and then we're like let loose, and all of a sudden
oh, dude.
I think it's a really relatable
Absolutely.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
How many-
everybody who graduates.
How many graduates have gone to like, tackle the world for Jesus and realized just so, abruptly that the world is just the way that they left it
Yep.
Yeah.
in all of
But I
its-
mean, but even with a specific mission in mind, like,
Yeah.
yep, I'm gonna go save the hood. It's like,
yeah, man, and what a ridiculous thing. Because I can honestly say that I have not been perfect, but I didn't stay stuck.
yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to have community around me that could say like you didn't lose anything with Jesus. Like, he already knew all this was about to go down.
yeah,
And he still said yes to that.
yeah.
That might be your advice question. Don't stay stuck.
Oh yeah, we might have hit it. I was lost in thought of like, yeah, that thing took me about 5 years, 5 painful years to learn
Yeah.
after Narrowgate. But
Yeah.
again, I mean, like, dude, we all, it's, it's not just about Narrowgate brothers. It's like we need the community of faith.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, to encourage each other to get through this thing, to partner with each other. And so, maybe we already answered your question, but yeah, man, if you can just think about like your story and what God's taught you, if there's like one piece of encouragement that you want to leave graduates with, we're talking guys 18, 19, all the way up to 40.
Yeah.
If there's one kind of encouragement you want to leave our listeners, which are, primarily Narrowgate graduates or people who know about the ministry, like what do you want to leave them with today, man?
One, find your community outside of here, wherever you may go to or whatever. Like, I'm only able to like be where I'm at today because of community. Like, anytime I'm trying to do all this on my own will, I fall flat on my face. So never undermine community. But then also really ask yourself, like, am I willing to just run around to say that, Jesus is my savior? Or am I able to say that not only is he my savior, but he's also Lord over my life? Because I think a lot of times we just love the savior part, but we don't understand that we actually need to be dying to ourselves, and that it's my life I'm handing over to him to lead me however he saw fit.
Yeah.
And then find people to encourage you in that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's so many things in this world that'll pull you left and right. And what I'm learning, bro, is put some guardrails up in your life.
Yeah.
Because he's already directing you on this path, but everything else is tugging at you to get off of it. And if it's anything I know, is that one, get uncomfortable get comfortable getting uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's what the rest of this life is going to be like. But honestly, it couldn't be any more worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that you can't take everybody and all these worldly things with you.
Yeah.
Like when you decide to pick up that cross and walk, you got to let go of some other things. So, and have your hands fully out. Like, because I think when I first left here, I thought I could have one hand out and another one behind my back so I could throw a little bit of whatever Jay wants on top.
Yeah.
But
Jesus glitter.
oh yeah, yeah.
The I'm all good glitter, right?
Yeah. But when I got to the point where I said, no, I got to come with both hands unclenched, handing this over to you, you're going to give me back way more.
Yeah.
So just find that peace, bro.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for coming in and talking
Of
to
course,
us today.
man. Yeah.
Dude, I love you, man. It's been
love
really
you too,
good to
bro.
see it.
Love you
and
guys.
We don't typically do this, but I'm going to take a stab here. What's a way that, like, whether it's a website or something, what's a way that any of our listeners, if they wanted to kind of partner with you in the work that you're doing in Nashville, is there a way that they can financially bless, Dream Center or anything like that?
Yeah, man. I mean, just simply go online to dreamstreetstn.com. And yeah, I mean, we have a whole website there to lead you through, pretty self-explanatory. Or, man, I'm not really hard to find. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, don't be hard to find, man. We'll see
most
you
definitely,
around.
brother. Yeah,
Love
we
it,
appreciate
man.
you guys. Yeah.